What's up, y'all? I am back. I'm still doing Puss in Boots. Shit. I'm still doing that one. I'm gonna do that one right after this. But I figure do this one first since I saw it last night and it's a newer movie. So I figure we do that one and kind of prioritize it. But today we're doing the third of the Creed trilogy. Creed 3 came out last Friday. Saw it last night. I have thoughts, and I'm probably gonna title it this. I put this in my Instagram post. I think it's a good boxing movie, but not a good or great Rocky movie is the word I use. And I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's a good movie, well made. I like the fights, the because sorry about that. According to Michael B. Jordan, he wanted to do like anime-ish style, and I kind of see what he was going for with the fights. I think it looked good. I can see for some people being like, okay, that's kind of annoying. You should have just filmed it regularly. But I was fine with it because I'm always for trying to make something unique, and I think it was unique. Like especially the final fight where he was fighting Dame, and Dame like pushed him into the ropes, and it looked like he pushed him into like a jail, like they put like a cell, a gate, thing. I thought that was cool. Or when it would like cut, it was just them in the ring, and you saw no one else, and like all the noise is gone. It's just them in the ring. I thought that was cool. So I was cool with all that. The reason I say it's not a great Rocky movie, no Rocky. The Rocky is the heart of these movies. He is why a lot of people watch them. It's why a lot of people watch the first two. I love the first two movies. I think Adonis is a decent character. He's a good new character that they built, but you need Rocky. And that is what was missing. And not just Rocky. I feel like that Rocky heart was kind of missing in general. Like I get it, they're black, we have to do the hip hop thing, but I'm sorry, it takes me out. You know why? Because I don't think Rocky. I think that's why I was saying good boxing movie, because it just feels like a good boxing movie. Without that Rocky element, you need that music there. Yeah, they played it, at least I thought it was cool. They played the Rocky celebration music, like like a tweaked version of it, but they play like the Rocky celebration music when Adonis beat Damien, but that was it. Like it's just a lot of some of the score was decent. But it was just they didn't have that Rocky feel to them. Basically, it's about Adonis's past coming back and haunting him. I think they laid that on a little thick with that plot line a little bit. But I'm happy Tessa Thompson's role is still limited. They basically just had her be. She's essentially the same role she was in the first two movies, just supportive girlfriend, like the pseudo Adrian. Obviously, she'll never be good as Adrian. Now, I'll say this though, I don't like Tessa Thompson as a person. I think she's fine in this. She actually is. Her character is all around likable. I don't think they ever make her character not likable. And they have a kid together. And their daughter is their daughter Amara, who they make deaf. Who I have no problem with deaf people, and I'm cool with a plot line like that if it works. I'm sorry, it was distracting at times. The sign language, probably most people won't bother them, and I'm not saying it's not like a criticism even really. It's just it was a little distracting at times. Like every scene she was in, it was a bit distracting them having to do sign language, but it's fine, whatever. Like if that's the movie, if they wanted to do that for the movie, that's fine. But basically, the plot is Adonis, is working with his friend Damian Anderson, and I'll just kind of spoil what happens. He ends up seeing someone that abused him, like in the group home he was in, beats him up. Then his friends jump in, and then Damian pulls a gun, and then the cops show up, ending up arresting Damian. Now, time jump. Adonis, or Donnie, I think they call him Donnie throughout the film, has his last fight, and then he becomes he starts becoming a promoter. And then Damian he gets out of prison. He wants to become champion. I thought what they were going to do was kind of like what Rocky did with Rocky 5 with Tommy Gunn. I thought he was going to start training him. No, what ends up happening, Adonis ends up backing him. One of their main fighters, Drago, who Drago was supposed to have a big fight with Felix Chavez, who's like Adonis's big fighter of his company. So they decided to put Damon. Damien ends up winning the fight, but like pretty bad, like, cheating wise. And then we find out that he knew the guy who injured Drago, and then basically Damien ends up setting up a fight with Adonis, and that's how we get the movie. The no Rocky scene, there were so many scenes in this movie. I'm like, if Rocky was here, especially because there's a scene where Adonis's mother, who I'll admit, it was sad seeing her die. Like she was having health problems throughout the film, and then she ends up dying later. I thought that was a good scene, but it was like that was when he should have called Rocky at that point. Like that was when I was like, okay, you should have did that then. As a movie, I'll say this: it's a well-made movie. The score is really good. I really like the cinematography, not just for the fights either. I think in general, it's shot really well. Like they actually put a lot to it, and I do like that they try to make it like a real boxing event. Because like when Adonis challenges Damien, it was on I'll admit I don't watch ESPN, but he did it on ESPN show, so it makes it feel like it's an actual boxing thing. So I like that. I thought Jonathan Majors did a really good job as Damien, as the antagonist of the film. Like he was likable. He had but he felt like, and it's not a negative, but in a way, it's not a negative, but it's a good description. He felt like a wrestling heel, And I think there should have been more setup with the final fight. And basically Adonis's arc really in this film is he has to basically his face is fast. That's essentially it. And I think they do beat it into you a little too much at times. I'm like, okay. But you needed Stallone there, man. The no Stallone, I think there needed to be more build for the fight. I don't know. I just feel like, that's why I was saying, it feels like a good boxing movie, but not a great Rocky movie. Because the Rocky movies to me are more than just boxing movies. And that's what this feels like to me. It's a good boxing movie. So I still think it's a well-made movie all around. I'd recommend it if you like the other two Creeds, you'll like this one. Even though this one, it doesn't fully feel like a follow-up to Creed 2 at all. It feels like almost just like Creed 2 happened like 2-3 years ago. It doesn't feel like a sequel. But I would still say it's a good entry. I think Michael B. Jordan's he's a great actor. He knows how to carry a movie. I mean, even just the one scene in Wakanda Forever he was in was like the best scene in the whole movie. So he has shown he can carry a whole movie. But I just think that element wasn't there, and I just think that element not being there definitely holds it down a little bit. If you weren't gonna see it already because no Stallone, I'd say I would still say it's a good movie, but I can understand not going. I would still say probably don't see it because Stallone not being in it will bother you. It will definitely bother you because it kind of bothered me a little bit. And I still like the movie, but if you weren't gonna already watch it, just don't, because I think you're just not gonna like it more because no Stallone. So because he's the heart of these movies. I agree, and I think him not being in it, not even for a scene or even like a phone call, I don't know. They could have easily figured out a way to get Stallone in the film. I get Michael B. Jordan felt like, okay, Adonis needs to have his own plot line. You could have still did that, and at least for a scene. I wasn't saying the whole movie, like he was in Creed 1 or even in Creed 2, but even just a scene, dude. He gets kind of a mention. Because what they were trying to do with Dame, because Dame wasn't a professional boxer before this, and they gave him a title shot. They were trying to do how Apollo gave Rocky a shot. It just didn't work here. Obviously, I'm not a boxing expert or anything, but I don't think it works that way. You're not a pro. Not being a pro you don't just get a fucking title match like that. But whatever. Things like that, you gotta turn your brain off. It's a movie, so that wouldn't happen. But whatever. I mean, would it have happened in 1976 with the first Rocky either? So it's one of those things. But all around, it's a decent movie. I probably wouldn't. I would watch it again if I were to sit down and do all 3 Creeds. I don't think I'd watch it all the time, though. I'd probably still mainly watch the original Rockies, but I would put this on if I was in the mood. Later, right after this video, I am gonna do my Puss in Boots review that I was supposed to do on Friday, but I figured do this one first, so because this is a bigger video, I feel like. So yeah, well, so I just want to get this one out first. But then right after this video, I am gonna do my Puss in Boots review, and then later tonight, 'cause today I'm gonna go see Operation Fortune. I'm gonna review that tonight. So yeah, 3 videos today. Unprecedented. But anyway, I'm gonna go take a hit and get started on this movie. And yeah, it will be spoilers. I mean, there's not a lot of spoilers. I mean, these kind of movies, the main Adonis or Rocky are gonna be the for the most part, not every time, but largely, you know that Adonis is gonna win. So it's not a major spoiler. So anyway. Anyway, so it starts out in 2002. So we see a young Adonis with his best friend, Damien, who's like he's in nationals at this point in his career. He's like an underground fighter. After winning his fight, they stop at it looks like a liquor store of some kind. You don't see the whole sequence at this point. You just see Adonis see. I don't even remember what the guy's name was. He attacks him. Leon. Leon. That's what his name was. Attacks Leon, who we find out later, because Adonis lived in a group home that Leon basically was like their caretaker who abused them, basically. And he saw him, attacked him, then his boys jumped him, and then Damien comes with a gun, because they show you the gun earlier, like in his bag. Then the police show up. Damien, I'm just gonna tell that part so we can kind of get it out the way. So, but Adonis ran. Damien ends up getting caught, and he spends basically 18 years in prison. So time jump to, I think it says here 2017. 15 years later, Donnie's having his last fight against Ricky Conlon. He ends up winning the fight. Basically goes out on top. And at this point, he retires. This is where we meet his daughter Amara, who's deaf, and Bianca now, who's not doing music anymore. Oh, she's a producer now. Amara gets in a fight, and basically, Bianca and Donnie's arc in this movie is, she wants him to talk more, that kind of shit, because their daughter Amara gets into a fight. It's like a bully ripped her thing up. And I'm gonna be honest, I side with Donnie on this. Yeah, you punch bullies in the face. That's how they learn. Anyway, Damien. This is so. Donnie goes to the gym. He's basically more of a promoter now. Helps run the gym along with Tony, little basically Duke's son, from Apollo's original trainer, and they're promoting this main fight with Felix against Drago. So that's the only real carryover from Creed 2 was really Drago, because even later in the movie, which I do like, when Adonis is training for his fight against Damien, he spars against Victor. So it's a little bit like it gives me a little bit like Creed, Rocky and Creed vibes from Rocky 3, So that was cool. I like that aspect, but I do feel like it doesn't like the no Stallone thing. It also makes it feel like not really a sequel either. So Damien gets out. They try to catch up. You can tell Damien has a little resentment. You kind of could tell against Donnie, but he initially asked Donnie to help him. They get to because he tells Donnie he wants to continue boxing. So Donnie lets him train at the gym. But they don't like his uber aggressive style. Then we have a scene where Damien visits Donnie at his house. The two share memories. This is, I think, the one. Not this scene actually, because you could tell Dave is jealous that. Because there's even a line later. He basically said that Donnie lived the life he was supposed to live, essentially. So he asked Donnie to give him a title fight. Donnie says he'll think about it. Then at a party, Bianca's throwing for a record label. Donnie sets up the event because Drago shows up there because he's supposed to be fighting Felix, and then Drago's attacked, ends up getting injured seriously. So the fight now is in question. So Donnie has no choice but to use Damien as a stand-in. I do like this scene where it almost feels like an actual promo for an actual fight, like a Showtime. They even do like a Showtime presents, So I thought that was cool. And they go into both fighters, and then so we have the fight, which the first fight's all right. I mean, I could tell what they were going for. They were trying to do the Ivan Drago Creed fight. It just, for me, Felix is a good fighter. He's a good character, but it just, you don't know him like that. So he gets really injured during his fight. I'll admit, the fight itself was well done. I do like that they try to put some cinematography to it and don't just, let's film these guys in the ring. Let's try to put some pizzazz to it. But, so Dave plays dirty, punching his arms and injuring his legs. Well, before this, how the fight got set up is Donnie basically marketed how Rocky did it. That's how so that's the one Rocky reference we kind of basically get in this movie. Is a Donnie basically saying if Creed didn't take a chance on Rocky. So basically, that is the most we get. That bothers me a little bit. At least you get a name drop, but I would have rather, even just the scene of him calling him, and I don't want to harp on, no Stallone, because I don't want that to be the whole video, but it does really affect the movie. I do. I think it really, that's why I can't say it's a great Rocky movie. It's hard for me to say it's a good entry in the Rocky franchise. So I'm honestly grading it 2 ways. As a movie, 7.5 out of 10. As a Rocky movie, I'll be nice to say a 6, maybe 6.6. Yeah, I'll stick with a 6. So I'll be I'm not gonna see it's a fucking 4 or something. That heart isn't there. I also think this film should have been longer. Good pacing, but we needed more build for the switch up. Okay, so Damien ends up winning the fight because Felix kept succumbing to his injuries. Yeah, so Damien ends up winning the fight pretty brutally, putting him in the hospital. He doesn't die like Creed did, but they were trying to do that. It just didn't work because Creed, you had a lot of 3 films worth of build. This Felix dude, we just met this movie. So it's hard for me to I'll still say it's well done, and it really does set Damien as a good antagonist, but I don't know. It didn't have that it's not going to have that same punch per se, let's use that word, as the other. So Donnie finds out, because he comes back home and he sees that his mom had actually kept Damien a secret because Dame mentioned that he wrote letters to him. And it turns out his mom was the one who kept the letters from him. Because she basically bad influence type of thing. And then we get the reveal, because they show the face of the guy who attacked Victor in like the news. We get the reveal that Dane worked with the guy, was in prison with the guy who attacked Dragon. So we find out it was actually a setup. He basically, so he had, I'll admit that aspect, that is kind of interesting. So that's what, that aspect, you could almost say Damien is that actually. Because in these movies, I don't really call the antagonists in these movies villains. Because to me, a villain implies evil. Because at the end of the day, they're just other boxers, right, that want to compete. Draga, okay, maybe Draga, you could kind of say borders on villain. But Damien, you can almost say borders too. Because, I mean, he literally set up Draga to get hurt just so he can get his spot. So, yeah, he was the one who set him up. And then Damien confronts, not Damien, Donnie confronts Damien at the party. And this is basically where we get the switch up. And then he ends up punching Donnie in the face and basically tell him that, he's nothing, that he basically doesn't need him anymore, which, okay, that was a cool scene, but we didn't get more of that. We didn't get more personal. The more I think, I'm like, it's all coming back to me. We didn't get a lot more, like, I wanted more of, like, the personal rivalry between the two. And I feel like you got, like, there's another scene where Donnie, challenges Dame, and Dame calls him on the phone on the show. That's like the most we get, like in terms of like a one-on-one conflict. And then the scene at the beach. I wanted one more. Like we needed a couple more scenes of that because I thought that stuff when they actually did that, that was good. There was okay, this works. And I'll say this as a positive: I'm happy they didn't go the route of making like majors, like, because they could have easily made Damien like fucking Mr. T's son and did that. I'm happy they didn't go that route personally, just because it would have been hokey. You would have made the world way smaller, and it would have just been, it would have been hokey. Would have been kind of cheesy. Like now, all of Rocky's rivals have a son that wants to. No, I'm fine with them not going that route this time around, and trying to at least give Donnie his own little thing. Even though I do still feel like you could have still had Rocky in the movie. That is my only thing. So, after that, Donnie kind of, drinks and kind of flips out a bit, and his daughter sees him. Then we get more of what happened earlier, behind the scenes, because Donnie visits the liquor store that it happened at, and, we get flashbacks. Because he doesn't want to open up about, then, Marianne, Donnie's mother dies. Then we have like a funeral. Because after the fight, I should have mentioned this, Duke initially told, because Duke was always against Damien, competing. So he told Adonis after the fight, after Felix got her, like, stay away from the gym. But it seemed like they mended fences, are cool now. Then we go back. Then we find out that Damien is basically slandering Donnie's name. He's trying to bring Donnie out, of retirement, basically. Kind of like what Apollo did in Rocky 2. So kind of like that. They definitely, I'll say that. There's little things in there that you can say, okay, they're trying to do some stuff like in Rocky, like give this no-name fighter a chance or that. So at least there's little things, but so after the funeral, we basically learned what actually happened that night, and she kind of, I'll admit, I do like that Bianca in these movies, because let's be honest, Tessa Thompson is not the greatest actress in the world, or I'll even say good actress, but in these movies it's fine, because she's basically just playing the supporting girlfriend. That's all she really is, the supportive girlfriend. That's all she really is in this movie. and these movies in general. And that's not hard to do that. So she, after telling her the story, and this is where we get like the flashback of what happened. Donnie decides he's gonna challenge Jamie into a fight. Um, so I do feel like there should have been a bit more build to the final fight because yeah, we kind of do just get to like okay, Donnie challenges Damien on the ESPN show. I guess first take, and then we get the training scene, which I'm sorry, man. I get it. He's black, but when you have these training scenes and there's no like 80s music playing, it doesn't work for me. Like it should be like Hearts on Fire. I get it. Someone was trying to tell me like it's the 80s, right? That would have been a bit hokey. No. You know why Maverick worked? It embraces its 80s roots. Same thing with Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai, yeah, there's a little bit of current music here and there, but they play that old like 80s rock because they know that's where the origins were. I would say Rocky had the same origin, especially fucking Rocky 4. It's like that training scene in the second one, even. It should have been Hearts on Fire or something like that. I don't know. Or even just like a different version of the Rocky theme, you know? Just something. Why do it has to be hip hop? Like you can still have him come out to hip hop with his entrance, when Adonis is doing his entrance for the fight. But why can't he like for the training scenes? I've seen like people make like dub like the 80s songs into Creed, and it works so much better. These movies should have leaned into their 80s-ness a little bit. That's why Top Gun worked. That's why Cobra Kai works. It's because they stick to it. But whatever. It was a good montage because Donnie, because he's been out of the game for 4 years. Basically, the premise is he has to try to get better. So initially, when he's training, he's not doing great, but then he eventually rises up. He's training with Drago, which I think that was cool. I thought that was pretty cool. Gave me a little bit of Apollo Creed and Rocky 3 vibes. Training Rocky. So then we get the fight, which the fight itself was good. I do think it was cool how they did the fight with the cinematography, or the one where they would switch it. And they make it seem, because they went like, I think about like 11 rounds or so. But they make it seem like, they would cut like everybody out, it would just be them in the ring. One scene, you have a Dane punch Donnie to the ropes. And I mentioned this earlier, he gets pushed, and it looks like he's getting pushed against a prison cell. Like Donnie's fighting his prison demon. Not Donnie, Dane's fighting his prison demon. It's like they're all fighting their demons, or they would see each other as like the kid versions of themselves. So I thought that was cool. Like they try to put some cinematography. I can understand why some people will be like, okay, that's a bit much. It's a bit distracting. It's kind of taking me out of the fight because it's a bit distracting. It didn't take me out. I like that they try to put some pizzazz to these fights and do something with it, with this final fight. But I do think it just needed more build, if anything. That's more my criticism. It just needed more build. But ultimately, Donnie ends up winning, knocks out Damien. They have a moment, like, in the back where they kind of forgive each other. And Donnie joins his daughter and Bianca in the ring. Celebrates, movie over. It's a good movie. It's just not a great Rocky movie. I just think that just that element's not there. I think this should have been a bit longer so you can get more build. I wanted more Damien and Donnie scenes, like when they were going at each other. I feel like we didn't really get a lot of that. We got the sequence, when Donnie confronts him at the party, and then when he's on first take, but that was only a voice thing, and it was like not even that long. Damien talks some trash, and then Donnie said, "I challenge you," and then he leaves. I wanted more. Like, I guess they kind of shit talked each other in the ring, but I wanted more. I don't know. I think that's why I was saying this movie you could have made a bit longer, maybe like 2 hours and 15, just so you can have a bit extra scenes there. But all around, it's a decent movie. I think it's well made. I like what they did with the fights, even though like I said, I can understand for some people how that could get annoying after a while. But at least they try to do something with the fight. They didn't just let's film guys fighting in the ring. They're like, let's try to put some pizzazz to it. I think I honestly think fucking Majors did a really good job as the antagonist of the film. He's like, I mean, he looked like a fucking tank. So I think that was believable. So I think he was a good antagonist. Performances wise, I think, Michael B. Jordan did good as Donnie. I mean, I would say he did as good as he did in the other two movies in that sense. Tessa Thompson's whatever. I mean, I don't like her, but in this movie, she's fine. I don't know if maybe whoever makes these movies knows she's not the greatest actress, so there's just play to her strengths. Just have her be fucking supportive girlfriend. Nothing more. Nothing less. That's kind of all she is in these movies. She doesn't even get her own arc or anything. So I'm happy about that. So, Amara was good, playing the deaf girl was fine, even though I don't personally think she needed to be deaf. Because I feel like they did this for, like, Oscar shit. So, like, oh, we have sign language in our movie. Give us an Oscar. I felt like that's what it was doing. That's why they were doing it. It was kind of obvious. So I feel like you could have easily changed it and she could have been regular talking and you could have still had the same arc. You could have still had the same arc. Amara wants to be a boxer like her dad. Now I'm even wondering, are they going to make her a boxer too? I hope they don't do that. I don't need a generations of Creed. I would rather, I'm fine with just Donnie being the only follower of Creed. I have a feeling, though, they're going to try to make her a boxer or something. Just the way they set it up, even. And, Lil Duke was fine. He kind of had the same role. He's the trainer. Felicia Rashad as Marianne Creed was great. I like her. I thought she was really good in this. It sucked, the scene where she died. It was pretty sad. And yeah, it's a decent movie. I would say if you're definitely hyped to see this, I think you will like it because it's well made. It's not woke at all. Besides, I guess the only thing never mind. I was saying it's more for Oscar. I wouldn't even necessarily saying it because woke reasons. I think it's the deaf thing, but they just did that for Oscars. They probably thought that would give them more Oscar potential bait. But the movie itself is good. If you already were gonna see it, I say go see it. It's pretty good. If you weren't gonna see it, I still say don't, because the no Stallone thing will definitely bother you. It bothered me a little bit. It just like there were so many scenes. I'm gonna be honest. There was a couple scenes, especially towards the end, where I'm like, okay, Stallone could have been there. Like he could have been after the funeral, or maybe before he's about to fight Dave. You should have had a scene where he talks to Stallone, talks to Rocky, even just for a scene. Even just for a scene. I personally think Michael B. Jordan should have called Stallone up and said, hey, can you do a scene? We'll pay you good. I think he needed a scene. That element not being there, he is the heart of these movies, and him not being in it does bring it down. I'm sorry. I won't say drastically it brings it down, but it does bring it down. So, overall, 7.5 out of 10. It's not bad. At least I don't hate it. I'm happy about that. I'm happy it wasn't a piece of shit or anything. So that's always a good thing. Right after this video, I'm gonna do my Puss in Boots review. I also do on Friday, so we'll get that out, and then later tonight, Operation Fortune review. Next Monday, I promise, guys, I'll do another Bruce Lee movie. It's just shit. Schedule's been kind of crazy these last few days, so yeah, we'll do Bruce Lee movie. I promise next Monday. So anyway, I'm gonna end this video. This movie is a 7.5 out of 10. It's not bad. 6 out of 10 as a Rocky movie, but But yeah. Alright. As usual, I'll talk to you guys actually right after this video. Talk to you all in a second.